An immigration overhaul, presidential pardons, a blanket tariff on Canada. Those are just some of the actions U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said he's going to take on day one of his presidency.
We won. We won.
Trump telling supporters at a rally Sunday night he will sign a suite of executive orders after he is sworn in just after noon today. For more on Trump's first day in office, what could happen is professor of political science at Western University, who is joining us this morning. Matthew Lebo, good to have you with us. We were just speaking with Rana Payne, president of Unifor Canada. She's also a member of the Canada-U.S. Relations Council. They are expecting tariffs to be announced for Canada today. How would that process unfold?
Well, Donald Trump could announce that there will be tariffs. He would direct various agencies to put charges on goods coming in from Canada or from other countries. They could be a blanket tariff. He's talked about that a lot. But he might also try just targeted tariffs against certain products or certain industries in Canada or elsewhere. And then, you know, the Canadian government and at the federal level and the provincial level has been preparing for it. They've got their own set of retaliatory tariffs. This has happened before. And Prime Minister Trudeau has talked about how it happened last time, how it might happen this time. Try to get the attention of Republican legislators, especially in red states, Republican states, with Republican governors, to get their attention that people within their own states will be harmed if there's some kind of trade war going back and forth between Canada and the United States.
Since the day that President-elect Donald Trump won, even before he was talking about global tariffs, he was promising to launch the largest deportation program in American history. Immigration raids are reportedly going to begin in Chicago tomorrow. The Department of Homeland Security saying about 11 million undocumented immigrants currently live in the United States. What parts of Trump's immigration plan could he start to roll out today without Congress?
Well, he can announce targets. And, you know, for a lot of the things that he's going to announce today, they won't happen immediately. They will take different agencies to sort of process them to decide whether or not they're legal or to decide whether or not they want to do them before they know whether or not they're legal. So one thing that he might do is direct the National Guard to get involved with mass deportations. And that would be a really unusual thing for the National Guard to step in to do. He could also designate state agencies and state law enforcement to play a role in mass deportations. And he would have different levels of cooperation from different states. So a state like Florida is already ready to start rounding people up and engaging in mass deportations. But Illinois, the state government will not be so willing to do that. And so that might take National Guard.
Trump is the first president to enter the White House after the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity. Last summer, the court ruled that presidents have, quote, absolute immunity from prosecution for official acts taken while they're president. How could that affect Trump's approach to a second term? You know, you mentioned just now that things are unusual when we're talking about the National Guard, but not impossible, as I understand.
Yeah, so, you know, the American presidential system relies on checks and balances and the separation of powers. It relies on courts checking to, you know, going over what the president is doing. And that sort of blanket permission that the Supreme Court gave the president preemptively, that's pretty scary for Trump's abilities to consolidate power. He's also dealing with Congress that's supposed to be engaging in checks and balances, and he has a much more amenable people in the House, the Speaker of the House now, and in the Senate. And so there's a lot fewer checks on him than there were in his first term. He's got a lot more loyal people around him. And so we're going to see really quite a different presidency than we saw the first time. And it's going to be, you know, really intense to see, will there be people who try to stop him, especially Republicans who are in the majority in the House and in the Senate?
Well, experience is the key here, right? He not only has served as president, but he has also had 8 or 4 extra years in Washington. He understands how things work. He knows where the pressure points are, and he knows where his leverage is. So what will you be watching for as this administration takes shape in the first 100 days or even just day one?
Yeah, just some pushback from Republicans in Congress and in the Senate. He has some nominees for cabinet posts, and some of them are just really inexperienced and unsuitable for the job. But will Republicans in the Senate push back against them? Or will they just sort of say, okay, it's the president's choice, the president chose these people? And so, that's really what's going to take for anything that's going to constrain Donald Trump's powers will have to come from Republicans in Washington. And so far, there's very little signs that that will happen.
What's your biggest concern as you watch this administration enter the White House?
Public health, mass deportations, the people of Ukraine. We'll see maybe today there will be some announcement about Donald Trump's stance towards continued support for the people of Ukraine. The United States, their role in NATO and their role sort of in being a peacekeeper around the world, they could withdraw from that quite a bit. There's a lot of things when Donald Trump talks about borders being arbitrarily drawn lines. That's pretty destabilizing for international politics. So there's an awful lot that will change very quickly.
And he's looking north for liquid gold, as he was talking about last night. Matthew Lebo, professor of political science at Western University. Good to have you with us today. Thank you.
Thanks.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.